Morjentes ja tervetuloa Tyrnävä Showhun. Larry Johnson, Zelenskyillä on maailman parhaiten palkattu näyttelijän rooli. Näin varmasti on. Mutta tässä tulee kiinnostavaa juttua. Judge Napolitano ja Larry Johnson, ja siellä oli muitakin, niin olivat viikon reissulla Moskovassa. Ja tässä sitten kertovat siitä kuulumisia. Niin käydäänpä kuuntelemaan, että on aika kiinnostavaa juttua.
But you know, I did learn one thing today, Judge, about what's driving this thing in Ukraine, and that was in the conversation with a man. His name and I'll have it posted in English, hopefully by first of next week. Vasily Vakharov. Vasily Vakharov was a prosecutor in Ukraine, and he said that the whole power behind Zelensky are these oligarchs who have been stealing billions. We're not talking millions, billions of dollars to enrich themselves. Zelensky's getting paid in the process. It's the best paid acting job he's ever had. But it is these oligarchs that are behind all of this chaos and mayhem that it continues to unfold. And until that's addressed, the Ukrainians are going to continue to try to fight as long as they cannot, because these guys want to continue making the money. What's the money? They are terrified. In fact, he said today, he knows for a fact that they were terrified that this meeting in Budapest was going to come off, because if it did, it might mean significant progress towards ending the war and ending their chance to slurp at the government trough of U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Wow. So the money.
No niin, siinä tuli aika kovaa tekstiä. Huhhuh. Sinne männöö myös suomalaisten veronmaksajien rahat. Mutta kuunnellaan tästä sitten vielä lisää.
That the oligarchs are stealing is not from the Ukrainian treasury. It's from money that Joe Biden sent there, cash.
Yeah. If wherever you live in the United States, you guys, they're taking your money. Your money is funding the lifestyle of some great, rich criminals in Ukraine.
Wow. The president was asked over the weekend an interesting question in which he acknowledges that the Russians are going to seize and retain some real estate. I was surprised at his answer, cut number 5.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, you know, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property. We're the only nation that goes in and wins a war and then leaves, you know, like we did under President Bush in the Middle East. We go in, we blast the hell out of everybody, destroy the place, and then we leave, you know. Remember, I used to say, keep the oil. But I really didn't say, I said two things. I said, don't go in. But then they went in. And I said, well, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil.
Did you?
What do? We go in, we blast it to pieces, and then we leave, you know. Doesn't make sense, never made sense.
Interesting part to me was the first part about retaining the property. I mean, that I think it's the first time I've heard Trump recognize the realism, using a Mearsheimer word, of one of Putin's consistent demands. We're going to liberate the Russian-speaking and historically Russian real estate that Ukraine claims is theirs, and on which Ukraine is attempting to kill Russian-speaking Ukrainians.
Right. Well, and Putin and the General Gerasimov, who heads up the general staff of the General of the Army, have since updated that. They said, look, if you don't take the negotiated deal that we're offering, you know, accept the five pieces of territory that are now part of the Russian Federation, and have NATO get the hell out of our territory, then the next step will be, we will take additional territory. And there we're talking about Kharkiv in the north, Sumy, Poltava, Dnipropetrovsk, and Odessa in the south. They will take that. And frankly, Judge, I think, you know, we'll write this down, see if I am correct, but my prediction is this war will continue until the Russians have secured all of that territory that is east of the Dnieper River, as well as Kiev. They will take Kiev, they will take Odessa, and there will not be much left of Ukraine. In fact, the former prime minister that I spoke with today, Azarov, he pointed out, he said, look, when I took office in 2010, he said there were 57 million Ukrainians. He says today, 20 million. 20 million. That wasn't me, that was him.
Wow. You know, you don't see that in the Western press.
Not at all.
You don't see it at all. The Western press would make it sound like all is well if you're not on the battlefield. So we're obviously not talking about deaths. We're talking about people who have fled the country, either to avoid forced conscription or to avoid death and destruction.
Well, in fact, I told him, I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I can sort of confirm that. My dentist left Ukraine 4 years ago, and I had a guy in to repair my refrigerator 6 months ago. He was from Ukraine as of 2 years ago.
Wow. Wow. Will we see you for the roundtable, or are you traveling Friday?
Nope, I'll be at the roundtable. I'll be up late.
Noin, siinä oli kiinnostavaa keskustelua. Ja nyt tuli toi, että 2010 Ukrainassa oli 57 miljoonaa ihmistä ja nyt se on 20 miljoonaa. Joo, ei, että he ovat kaikki kuolleet tai muuta, vaan joutuneet muuttaa pois sieltä Ukrainasta. Eli näin hyvä johto siellä Ukrainassa on. Ja meidän oma johtomme sitten soloilee tässä näin, että 180 miljardia ja 64 miljoonaa siihen päälle on valtion velkamme. Ja Petteri Orpo ja Alexander Stubb tuolla soloilevat ja vetävät sitten älyttömiä velkoja Suomen niskaan. Eilen käsiteltiin tätä Venäjän jäädytettyä rahojen käyttöä, että niitä menisi Ukrainan sotimiseen. Ja sitten siitä, mitä Venäjä on vastannut, mitä siitä seuraamuksia sitten tulisi. Ja siitä tulisi myös tarkoittamaan sitä, että läntinen pankkiirijärjestelmä tulee romahtaa. Ja voi olla Euroopassa, että tai maailmassa voi olla myös tahoja, jotka haluavat, että tämä pankkiirijärjestelmä romahtaa, että sitten päästään vielä paremmin näihin digisysteemeihin, kontrolloituu maailmaan. Erikoisia aikoja elämme, mutta tämä oli kiinnostava jakso. Hieno reissu ollut äijillä Moskovassa. Noniin, morjentas Tyrnävä Shown Dutcholta.